All right. All right, all right, all right. I was gonna write all right. I'm a mess. I'm not late. I'm right on time for me. 10:19. Not too bad. I did tell you a little while ago that I might be a few minutes late. Not that that's an excuse. I learned a very important lesson this morning. My hair just looks so good, but I guess I can't worry about it. I hope everybody's doing well.
All right, all right. I was gonna write all right. I'm a mess.
I love it when things go wrong about 5 minutes till it's time to start. I learned a very important lesson here at the early moments before Monday methods today. All right, William, I know you're just messing with me, and I'm just messing with you. This live stuff is fun. It's entertaining. It is entertainment. Even when things go wrong, like they did at 9:56 this morning, when I thought I was all about done. I was cleaning the airbrush and I was getting ready to put things back together. I learned a very important lesson, and I've not figured this one out quite yet. Why? And I'm on the right camera. Yes, these are yogurt cups, and I use them for everything. Right? I mix resin in them. I do all kinds of things. I clean in them. I don't know why, but this morning, and I'm going to put this to the side. This one decided that lacquer thinner and it didn't get along, and this was sitting right up here on this tabletop where I had all the parts in these, and I had 3 or 4 more of these going, all with lacquer thinner in them, cleaning the parts, and 2 of them it melted right through the bottom. Go figure. So anyway, I had a huge mess. Not that I'm making excuses for myself. Good morning, Mom. But I had lacquer thinner and colors everywhere. I didn't have a glove on. You can see my hands, and now I'm a mess. So I got the gloves right there. I was going to put them on. I probably will still put them on, otherwise I'll really be a mess for the day's over. So anyway, note to you guys, don't put lacquer thinner in yogurt cups. At least that brand, all it does is make a big mess. I hope everybody is doing well this Monday morning. It's nice out here, other than my little morning crisis. I think it's just a test to make sure that I am always willing to come back and do it again, which I am. I'm going to put on my gloves. It seems like without fail, there's always something that happens, and I guess that's just kind of the way it is. And you just roll with it. You just have fun. Tell me what you think about the new wall. We painted the wall. We put in a window so you can see out to the pecan farm back there. Tried to do things, make a change. Realistically, the change was to help with the chroma key. William, so you won the Nova Lay. That's awesome. Hey, my dad's here. Do I remember? I remember the shows. I can't say I can put a name to the face, etc. But that's great that you want to lathe, and I hope you're having fun with it. So anyway, the chroma key, as I'm doing a chroma background, and I was going to try and maybe introduce something new that I got going, but of course I ran out of time. Imagine that. So anyway, I think things are looking better. I'm looking over at the screen. I don't see as much greeny stuff. Artifacts in the background. I'm always chasing perfection, so I'm told. But what are we here today? Well, we're here to play with iridescent paints. And I did a bunch of studying, and of course I always have the best of intentions. And I loaded up a bunch of files that I downloaded. I did a bunch of studying last night on the technical aspect of iridescent paints, iridescent pigments. And it's a very confusing topic. It really is. And if you go searching for it, good old Google, it knows everything in theory. What I found is that there are some conflicting bodies of information as to what. Good morning, Lorianne. You came back. You knew that it just gave me a little while and I'd be back. There is conflicting information on how pearlescence and iridescence and interference colors, all that, how they're made or what they are. And I have not found one exact, concise description, if you will, that didn't have another one that seemed as reputable as the last, that didn't contradict a little bit. But what I have found, and I pulled up a graphic, and I'm not going to go over to the computers because I'm late, and pull up this graphic, and I was going to put it up on the wall for you. Iridescent colors, iridescent powders, pearlescent powders, interference powders. I've got a bunch of them here today, and I got all kinds of stuff. And whether they are an iridescent color, which, let me switch here, so I've got the overhead out front here. I don't have any true interference colors here today, by definition or sold as such. Let me get an iridescent, but not an interference here. Okay, and this is a good match. One's a little bit lower than the other, and the light's not great on that for some reason today. But let's go over here to camera 3, which is the overhead, and that should pull up. And I'll put the lids by these so that maybe that'll help as well. I'm getting some funny shadows in here. Just probably because that light's picking things up more than anything else. Anyway, if you look at these two, these are both gold. The one on the left, and I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit more here for you and not make you nauseous. Because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I hate moving the camera when you're looking at it. So get back there. I know I'll be changing it again in a second. Maybe I'll just move the jars. Make that easier. And I'm going to pour a little bit of this white out on this lid, so it'll be a little bit easier for you to see. They're both, I hate that light. I don't know what it looks like to you guys. Oh, you can see the difference there. I'm looking over at the 20-second delay on Facebook. So the gold on the left is truly the gold. And that's just a pearl powder or a pearl pigment. The one on the white, the white on the right, say that 5 times fast. The one on the right here is the white one. Well, that's actually gold too, but that's an iridescent gold, right? Now, what's the difference? What makes the difference between a solid gold pearlescent and then a gold iridescent, and why is it white? Well, it comes down to chemistry. Good morning, Anthony. Hope you're doing well up there in New York. It comes down to chemistry, which is not my field by any stretch of the imagination. They're all based on, it's referred to as mica powders. And technically speaking, it's more accurate to call it mica platelets from what I read. And the platelets are very, very small, made of mica, silica mica. And then they are actually coated with titanium, white titanium dioxide to make the colors. And then the interference colors are coated with titanium oxide, I believe it is. And how they shift the color, and that's why I wanted to have this graphic, it showed it really well. You take a platelet, let's say, assume for sake of discussion, all the platelets are the same thickness, all the pieces of mica are the same thickness, and we're talking really small here. The thicker the coating, and gosh knows how they do this, the thicker the coating they put on the mica controls the color that we see. It doesn't actually change anything, but it all has to do with the way the light hitting the mica platelet or fiber, etc., how the light bounces, how it reflects or refracts. And I know this is a little heavy, but I wanted to give you, this basis. And like I said, I'm still working to get my head around the chemistry of it, but it's always good to know what you're working with and try and figure things out. One of the things that I found the most interesting is, depending on how thick they put the layers on, it will let certain colors through, and then if they put, say, another layer in, and I could be a little bit wrong on this one because it was late last night when I was reading it, when they put a second layer on, the first layer will reflect the color, and that's the initial color we see, and this is for an interference color. It will reflect the first color, that's what you see is the first one that's get reflected. The others are transmitted through that first layer. But then because of the density of the next layer of a coating, they will then bounce or reflect some other lights, shades in the spectrum, colors in the light spectrum. And so in an interference color, you get what you call a flop. Whereas depending on the angle you're looking at it, you will see it shift from purple to green per se, something like that, and that's referred to as a flop. And for that to happen, it gets really complicated. And if I don't make it clear, I think I'm going to put up a post with some links in it when I get done with this. It depends on the color of the base. So if we mix it with a light colored base, for an interference color, it needs something to bounce off of. You're going to get more of the flop, as they call it. If it's in a darker base, you will not get as much, but you will get a more intense color of the primary color that's being reflected. So there's a whole lot of trial and error, black magic art. It's actually science. If you've got the degree in chemistry enough to work this all out, then you might understand it some more. But it's all got to do with the reflection and refraction and transmission of light through a film that has been applied to a mica platelet or a piece of mica powder, all right? So from what I gain in reading, all the mica initially is the same base color. Do not ask me what that color is. So they're all the same, and then it's a matter of how they're coated. Now figure out how in the world they take these little teeny particles and control the thickness of the layer they put on them. That part I don't understand yet, but that's the basic premise on how iridescent, pearlescent, and interference colors work. In a nutshell, in a real short description. So I'm going to look over here real quick and check on the Facebook page. And while I do that, I'm going to flip you over here just so you don't have to look at me, walk away. I'm going to flip you over here to that front table there for just a second. Because I can see a lot of things, but I can't see everything. And I want to see who all's in here. See if I can get my... So trackpads don't run with gloves on. And that's second note to self this morning. What I do need indeed is, I'll just get this Facebook back up here. I do need an assistant. Anybody want to be a remote monitor for Monday methods? I'll get you linked in to everything, and I'll let somebody run the some of this stuff in the background. Would love to have you. Get me back in where I was so I can see what's going on. I used the Facebook page. I should be on 3 Facebook pages and YouTube this morning. I just used the Facebook one to keep an eye on things, to make sure that something hasn't gone totally south on me. And with a glove, this is like next to impossible, because there's no mouse on this keyboard. All right, there we are. I just have to keep tabs on things. Okay. Get that up to where I can see it and see the comment column over there. See who all's in. Okay. So, we're going to have fun. I'm going to wear gloves and I'm going to grumble. I'm one of those people who would actually rather have color on my hands than gloves on my hands, but I'm trying to lead by example and all that good stuff. So that's the basic premise of how the pearlescent and iridescent colors are made. All right, that's a little. I made a mess because I had that in the lid. It's gonna be a long morning, but I'm gonna have fun. I don't care how much of a mess I make. Now you can buy ready-made iridescent paint that is a single color. All right, I'm looking at something here. I'm wondering why that is a certain, I don't know what I'm doing. That is strange. There, oh, there it is. Okay, never mind. I was just looking at something on a monitor. You could buy pre-made colors. Paints ready to roll. Lots of ways, and you can make these yourself as well using a lot of mediums. We're going to use water today with an acrylic-based paint. So we're going to mix up, and I cleaned the airbrush, which was my downfall of getting things ready on time. We're going to attempt to spray some of these that we make through the airbrush onto work. You need a large needle, and when I decided to do iridescent paints on Thursday, iridescent colors and paints on Thursday, I think it was, I didn't think about the fact that I don't have the largest needle available for my airbrush. It's the Grex airbrush, and I've got a number 3 needle in here, and it probably will pass the powders in solution, but not very well, or not for very long. You can go to, there's a 2357 needle. I should have a 7 needle in here. I should have the largest needle available to get this color through, but we'll work with that and see what happens. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to show you, actually real quick before I forget about it. A lot of people you may have seen, and I'm going to move this over here before I knock it down, the iridescent cloud paints, and this is the Chromacraft brand. And I see what's going on. I'm super zoomed in here. So boom, boom. Oh, wrong one. There we go. I don't know who's driving. The cloud paint is an acrylic iridescent paint. Now it does indeed, the little white that you see in there, the white is actually engineered into it to give it the cloud effect. So that is part of the iridescent paint. Now it is white when you look at it, when it comes out. And let me go back to the overhead here. The paint in the container is white. This is a purple. You can kind of see the purple reflected in there. But the white is intended to stay as part of the cloud effect to get the white puffy cloud look. All right. So that's an off-the-shelf, and I don't have any other brands of off-the-shelf, but you can go to Michael's, Hobby Lobby, and lots of places and find iridescent paints. Or you can do like we're going to do here this morning, and we are going to work on making our own. And I also brought in a number of the Chromacraft acrylic fine detail and airbrush paints, a number of colors, and we'll work on. I got all this kinds of stuff back here, and we're going to work on also blending our powders with these airbrush paints along with a reducer. All right, and I've got more powders, pearl powders back down below. But let's just kind of get started here. And I sure wish that light was better on that overhead camera. It's a little yellow looking, at least it looks yellow from here. And that has frozen. Excuse me for a second while I go change this. I got to stay up to speed over here. Which is craziness. There we go. Now I'm back to seeing. I got to see what's going on the live. I'm going to put another. This place is going to be nothing but TV monitors around here at some point. I'm going to put another monitor out here, out front, so I can see what's going on in the live version. All right. So I wanted to start with water, and what I have is distilled water, and my ever popular distilled water and ever popular Baskin-Robbins cups, courtesy of my wonderful wife Bridget. I use these for resin molds and everything else. I'm certain that this distilled water will not eat the bottom out of the cup like the lacquer thinner did to me this morning. So I'm going to mix a powder, and I'm just going to take the straight gold pearl powder, okay? And I got 1,000,001 brushes over here, or brushes, stir sticks along with my brushes. We're going to try and airbrush things today. I also have some small fine detail art brushes. Okay, so I've got a lot of different things in mind to work with and attempt and play and show you. And let me see what makes the best in this overhead. I'll move this out of the way to where you can see when I'm mixing things and see how this mixes. Because the first thing we need to do is test how well it mixes. Okay? And you're probably loving that shot, but there we go. And let me jump over here for a second, because I want to see if I can't fix the color on this. I hate it being that way, and it's always driving the cameras. I know I'm supposed to have all this stuff set up long ago. We'll go full auto on this and see what we can get. Because I want you to be able to see the colors accurately. See if I can't get this one to cooperate. No, it's just not going to like the light today. That camera always does that to me. Okay, anyway. There we are. Gold pearlescent powder. So I'm going to take a little bit of the powder, not much, okay? Hang with me. And I could measure with my little spoon that my mother, who's on here, so carefully gave me, or politely, nicely gave me. But I'm just going to tap. I'm going to take a little bit of the Chromacraft reducer, make sure this is open. And then I'm going to add water as well, and I see that the reducer is not open. That's why I always like to check these things. This is a new one, because it looks kind of foolish when you're trying to squirt something out of something. And this will help in the gun just a little bit, is with the flow characters. I don't have any Floetrol, but you can mix with Floetrol as well. Okay. Then I'm going to put in a little bit of water. Just a little bit. And then I think I'm just going to hold this up and turn it over. And just that easy, we have made our own gold pearlescent paint. Just that simple, okay? Now, how much powder we put in it will determine how much color it has. And as long as the powder you're using, whatever brand, this is the first thing you want to do is test and make sure that it will mix into a water base, okay? Now, I want to add a little more color to that. Well, thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. Thinking about having an anniversary party. I do it every year for Spydercraft. Got to come up with an idea and a theme. So I want to keep this pretty thin. All right. So let's do a little experimenting now. Everybody with me? Everybody hanging in there, what I'm up to? And let me go up here, get out of that strange color overhead. Like I say, it's crazy because when I show you that one, you can see the color difference. There's something in the white balance in that camera, and it's always been off. I don't know, maybe it's been falling on its head too many times. I'm not sure, 100% sure. Let's take a brush, and this is part of the experiment. We're going to play with all kinds of things today, so fear not. And another technique, and here's a makeup brush, And I need to go down to the, we just had a Dollar Tree open here. It just opened last week, grand opening. In Metter, everything's $1, you know, the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to go down and get so many supplies because, and I'm going off track here a little bit. One of the things we can do with these pearl powders, we can take the straight pearlescent powder, and we're going to do this, and using a makeup brush, we can add effects with a dry brush technique with these pearl powders. So all kinds of different things we can do. Just thought I'd bring that up. So I had my little brush, I had a little brush in my hand. And I just want to see what happens on this. I got this little teeny black. I know I'm wearing black, so it makes things hard to show up. Little hollow form on a base. And I just want to take a little bit of this paint because it's real thin at the moment. And I am in that camera. So let's see, if I come over here, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to play around a little bit. I'm going to come over here for this camera and see how that shows up. All right, let's go down here. I'm putting just a little bit on the white paper. And I'm just going to go put some right here on the top around this rim, right around the lip. Now this is on a black background. Maybe I should just go ahead and go in here with the overhead, even if I don't like the light. Let me go overhead for you. Now this piece hasn't been sanded or anything else, but I just want to show you how you can indeed brush this on. And again, this is really thin. Okay, and you can control it. You could mix and match. You can do anything in there you want to. One of the things I want to experiment with the airbrushes, and I'm hoping that this will spray, is I want to be able to build. And I'm just doing this. I know that's all rough on the edges, and I don't care. I just wanted to go around there for fun. Let's say, and that's a kind of a big brush. I know it's so dark in that image, it bugs me to death. I'm going to get another cup here to keep my brushes clean. I'm going to have stuff scattered all over the place before the day is over. All right. So what I want to do is I want to take this little bit of mix, and it's not much. And I can see that the powder does, separate out pretty quick. So I want to get it back up in suspension, and I'm going to pour this into my airbrush, and I want to see if I can't just dust or mist this little black hollow form with this, and I'm going to leave that. I want to leave it on an angle. So I'm going to take. That's how I do things. All right. Leave that on an angle. I hate the color in that overhead. I'm going to grumble all day about this. And I'm going to go ahead and pour this paint off into our airbrush container here. We've got about a half a container. All right. And I'm going to come back here and dial this down. So I just use that to kind of test. My pressure's a little high. So because this is really runny, so I pull down my air pressure. I was afraid it might clog before I got to where I wanted to be. Okay. The best way to show this is still going to be in this crazy overhead with the goofy light. So we're going to come right up in here, and hopefully you'll see this. Well, you sure can't see that in that light, can you? And I can see my needle's giving me trouble. Let me go over here. I'm unhappy with that. Go over here to this end camera. If I try not to trip on too many things. There, you can start to see we're just dusting on the color. Again, that needle being a little too small. These pigments are going to load it up. See if we can't get that to come back through. All right. So it looks like I'm going to have a little bit of a fight here today, which is not uncommon. I'm going to pour this back in, and I'm going to run some cleaner through here real quick. Get this guy straightened out so that I can get another shot at it. Hopefully we can get this to come right back and get clean again. Because I don't want to take this airbrush all the way apart again. It is tough to get these big particles to spray. Okay, we'll try this again. The lid back on the lacquer thinner. I told you it was being an experiment. I know indeed it will spray through a bigger nozzle, a bigger tip. So I have to come back in here and get my powder back up. I do like the very subtle effect, and I'm going to have to find the right light to show you this. Let me get my solids back into the solution here, and we'll go fast. All right, back into our cup. Over to the end camera, and we'll go quick. Get that right up there with some light on it. So that's all I had. It shot that real quick. Now you can chase it around too, like you were doing. But over here's the effect that I was looking for. Okay. So it looks like it's going to fight me in the airbrush today. But I will not be deterred. Okay. So, ow. We'll clean that again real quick. And then we're going to mix a little bit into the actual paint, into an actual paint. Let me go back here and make our next little concoction. Again, I probably will have a little bit of trouble just because of the powder, because I have the wrong needle size and I'm a dummy in that regard. For not putting a bigger needle on. And I want to make sure this is clean. And we'll first go with the manual brush. I'm going to spray a little bit more through here. So we'll mix on our next paint into a container. We'll do a manual brush. And I'm going to let that just hang out with that in there. Again, I wish you could see the colors that I'm seeing here. And this is probably the best way I can show it to you. That's the best side. Okay. So airbrushing your own pearl paint that you make yourself, so you have complete control. You know, I mean, going to the store is all fine and well, but when we can make up our own to any degree that we want it to be, then that's a really good thing. So that was a little bit of that was just straight and straight gold. That was not an iridescent gold. Maybe I should make a little iridescent gold since I'm here. I'll just get another cup, keep everything clean. So I was going to do the paint, and then I think I'm going to use this iridescent gold in the paint as well as the second process. I was thinking to myself and lost track. Imagine that. We'll play with the cloud paint here probably at the very end. I know I got a bunch of different samples around it, and some of them are, I got a gloss one. All this right now is on matte or flat black. That's what I had. I live in a little teeny town where I bought the only 3 cans of spray paint that they had that were in black, in lacquer yesterday, day before. Iridescent gold. So this is the white powder. Give me the iridescent gold. The white. There we go. And I'm going to the overhead. So just a tick of it in there. Maybe a little bit more. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix this up again with a little bit of reducer and a little bit of water. And even though that was white, you start to see the gold come to life. Okay. So I'm going to take my little brush again. Come in here, grab just a little bit of this. And I'll do another kind of lap around the top here. Now remember, one is iridescent, one is pearlescent. So this one, and that's just a big lumpy lap. Because this is pretty light bodied. And I'm going to spread that out just for yucks. When we spread it out, you start to see the shimmer. I wish you started to see the shimmer. The light, this yellow light, I got a bad choice of colors here. But if I go to the front camera, you see the best light in the front camera. I may walk over there and show you how these colors look. And this is so thin you're actually seeing the black on the backside, which is pretty neat. Okay, and I don't know if this will stay in focus, but I'm going to walk over here right in front of the close-up camera just because I'm so unhappy with my overhead camera this morning. And we'll see if this will focus at all, because I want you to get a good close-up of those colors. And it's on auto. I don't know what it's looking like because I'm seeing it against a weird background. And then if I move this over, I'll show you some of that other. Well, that's where I splashed it. Again, I'm looking at it in a weird background context, so I'll have to look at the replay and see what that looks like. I'll see it in the delay. The colors don't look too good in that picture either. But, so here's the next thing I want to do. I'm going to take a little bit of this blue. Now you can work with mixing it with the complementary colors or the same colors, looking at your color wheel. And I'd have to look at my color wheel chart. I didn't bring it out. Let's see if this has got a lid on it, cap in it. It does. They all do. So this paint needs to be thinned a little bit anyway. And we're going to go into the overhead. Was the sound gone? Now the sound is back. I don't know why the sound would go away. Huh. Okay, I see my little bars. Not sure what's going on with the sound. So now we get a, if I can get this up to where you can start to see. I'm going to spread that around. Alright, so that's what happens if we take a gold and put it into, say, the blue. Alright, now we're going to take that same gold, new cup. Come on, come on. There we go. And again, I'm just doing little teeny batches of this to play with. And I'm actually going to put it with a yellow. And then we'll play with some other, we'll change hues here. Oh, Dad says it was him. Well, Dad, quit clicking all those buttons. I don't know why I did that. I wanted a reducer. Now I have blue and gold in here. How about that? Wasn't what I planned, but let's see. We'll have green. We'll have an iridescent green. I'm going to put a little bit of reducer this time in here. Now this is a beautiful iridescent green. It's kind of an emerald gold. All right. I sure wish the colors were better on that overhead. But you can see it on the stick there. So you can take the two different colors of paint along with a third color of a pearl powder or an iridescent pearl powder and certainly make any shade of things you want. So we're going to try again to get this through the airbrush. Now I'm sure it won't go long. I'll run a little water through here real quick. And I'm going to use our same little, I'm going to put it right over top of the gold on this. The gold looks good. If I may just leave it on the front camera. That's where you see it looks like you get the best view of things. So I'm going to make sure I have this up in suspension. Beautiful color. So it's got a teal and a yellow and a gold. It's pretty cool color. And what you can't buy at the store, see, that's the beauty of this. And if you actually take notes of what you've mixed, you can recreate these and have wonderful colors that you can't. Nobody else is going to have them because they didn't make them. Okay, so I'm going to spray this real quick in here on top of the gold. And now you see I start to get that beautiful that teal over the top. And one of these things that I want to show you so much is how we can layer these colors. So we can start with the gold underneath, and then we can come in with our teal blue mix over the top. Need to point it to you guys, not me. And get some interesting effects. I'm going to hit this a little bit harder. I need to see what I'm doing though. So if it hadn't been for the stuff where it splashed, this has got a really interesting look to it. And it's piling up. This piece hasn't been sanded or anything. So that's getting some pretty nice colors to it. And we've just used a little teeny bit. I mean, you've seen how much I've mixed. Just a very small amount. Let me run some water through here real quick before this thing sets up on me again. And there's Chromacraft, you know, we have probably 15 or 16 pearlescent powders. I'm just spraying this water through here. So there's a whole lot of combinations. I have to do a kind of back bubble that to keep it clearer because of the powders that are in there. With 15 straight colors of the pearl powders and about 7 or 8 of the paints, and these are, you know, designed to be airbrush paints. Since this is spraying, this is real thin, but I'm going to do this just for fun. I didn't have any other plan on this one. So because it's spraying and it's going to be real light, and it's probably mostly water, but it is picking up some of the pearl flakes in there. Ever so subtle. And sometimes that's the key, or a great key. And then that's too dark over there, no light on it. Is very subtle. There's just little teeny flecks of the gold iridescent pearl that came through there. And we'll come back to that piece. We'll do some more to it here in a bit. The last thing I want to do is let anything sit in there. I'm going to put a little bit of reducer in there as a cleaner just to keep the brush wet. Okay, so Donald Earl notes, I just remembered right next to that chisel I can't find. Yeah, Donald, you and I are in the same club. I watched Zach Higgins with his notes. I'm envious to all get out. He's got a digital pencil, and Zach's a great guy. Yeah, I learned a ton from Zach. He's got a digital pencil, cloud pen, I think they call them, and he writes and it goes off, writes on a pad and it goes off and stored as a file. If you really are wanting to repeat things, that's the only way you're going to do it, is make notes, keep track of what you're doing. I'm just here having fun and showing you that you can mix. I'm not going to try and recreate any of these in any particular form or fashion. Okay? It really is. I really want to, and I wanted to have it up. I want to put out some share and a link, and I'm not sure where I'll do it. I'll do it on the Spiracraft page. Notes and links to some of the theory and how these work and how you can know exactly what you're going to get. I wish I had been able to post all that up here today, because there's a lot of information to try and keep track of. Okay, I'm loving the way this piece is looking. All right, get it where you can see that there. That's just a neat looking piece, and we haven't done much to make that. All right, we haven't done much to make that. So let's go to another phase and another color. You notice I'm always keeping my little other brush that I paint with over here, keeping it wet. Now pieces like this, these are old scraps. This is actually aniline dye, and I would take aniline dye and I would splash it on with a brush. Million different things to do with color. If I got a bunch of them down here, I just brought all kinds of stuff out from the shop. So, you know, these are some just rejects or seconds or me just playing. And this one is already sealed, so I could spray this black really quick to get it going. A piece like this, we can do color in a big rim. Again, these are just me being crazy and experimenting and having fun and all that. Hold closer to the camera. Can't hold it too much closer. I can only reach so far, Dad. But we've got a big flat surface here. And see, that one's too zoomed in too close now. But so you could do iridescent work up here and then turn this junk away. And that's why I left there's a tenon on here. And we might do that. I might come in here. Tell you what, let's do that. Let's prep this one, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This one has been sealed a little bit. So I'm going to throw a little bit of black lacquer on the outer edge of this, which I just happen to have some somewhere. I got black enamel, and I had some black lacquer. Let me walk over here real quick and take a look. We'll give you this fun view. Well, actually, let me put this guy right there, even though you can't see the blue in it unless I turned it sideways. Then the color is so bad in that camera today. It's just I'm having a horrible time with the light on that one. First time watching, JT Lee. Well, thank you from Murray, Kentucky. JT, I hope you enjoy it. What we're up to today. You will learn if this is the first time you've been with me. I am fairly footloose, fancy-free, and experimental. One of the things I do not have a problem with is showing you things that might not always work. I am a big fan, and you're seeing it today, as I can double fist shake my sprays. I'm a big fan of trying things that you get an idea driving down the road. You wake up in the middle of the night with an idea for your turning or your art, and you might try and look it up, and you never see anything about it before. I don't know. Being original is important. It's some people say it's hard to be original. Everything has been done. Sometimes I kind of want to disagree with that. Try things. It won't always work. The best masters of any art form will tell you that they've made a whole bunch of things that were really bad, but then they did some of the most beautiful work in the world as well. And that's how we experiment. People say, oh no, that won't work. Well, maybe you just have to add a little twist to it. So I'm just going to throw a little black lacquer on the rim of this. Again, this hasn't been sanded or anything, and I really don't care. I got hundreds of these things. I don't even know if it's warped or flat. It's probably warped as all get out. But we'll spray this, and then we'll set it off and let that dry. And we'll come back and add one of our color mists to this black. Of course, it might look cool just leaving it black and then the weird colors in the middle. You know, I'm actually kind of liking... You know, you just never know what's going to get your fancy. And if that was all shiny and gloss, you know, lots of things come from mistakes. All right. So I'm going to hit this again here real quick. And then I'm going to set it off to the side. All right. I have on my OSHA approved filtration mask for breathing, as always. So anyway, I got lots of these different pieces, right? They're just out on the road with the woodworking shows. And you notice I leave a tenon on a lot of times because I'll use a piece over and over, just like this one, another one here, big old piece of maple. It's got 8 or 10 more experiments in it. Because, you know, wood is hard to come by, and it can be expensive. So make the most of it. Make the most of what you got. Let's see. We wanted to make up. I'm thinking 3 things at once here. We were going to make up a different shade color, and I'm going to put that one up there where you can kind of see it a little bit better. I put it out in the front. It looks pretty cool. Let me look over here into my, I'm going to go with a satin white pearl. So this is a pearl. It's not an iridescent. If I show you in the overhead, you will see that it is white, but it actually is white. It's a satin white pearl, okay? And we're going to put some of that into a mix. You know, Donald, it's interesting you talk about the notes. My wife Bridget, she's always after me, well, did you write it down? You know, make a list. Make a list, a checklist of the 101,000 things that I need to do before I start a live stream to make sure it's all working. And it just, the lists don't work for me. When I do make a list, it doesn't work for me with the list. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. So this gives us a satin white. Again, I wish the colors, I'll quit apologizing for the color in that overhead camera. Some days it's on, some days it's off. So I'm putting a little water in there to add to my pearl white and mixing. And so I know it looks kind of yellow in the camera there. I'm not sure what it looks like in the, oh, I'm on the wrong camera, dummy. Y'all are supposed to tell me when I'm on the wrong camera. So it looks a little goldish in that color, in that camera right there. But it truly is white. I promise you it's white. Okay. And I want to take a piece. I'm going to take this piece, which is another piece of maple, and it's got grooves in it. It's interesting. I painted everything black, and I should have worn the red Spydercraft wrapper jacket today, but I kind of like to keep it clean for Saturdays. So everything I hold up disappears probably into me. But it's a little bowl, got a little groove on it. And I want to mist the top of this, just the top in the white, okay? That's my goal. That should be enough. And I just want to do the top. I want to try a blend. Okay, I want to try and do a fade or a gradient, a transition, if you will, from this color to the second color that we add to it. So this will still be our base. The satin white will be our base. Okay. And if the gun cooperates, life will be good. And it's a good thing I have 1,000 stir sticks and cups. So the best way for me to show you this is I'm going to clear a few things out of the way so you can see. I'm going to try and spray this in the overhead. Going to make myself some room to work here. I do like, I used to bring this table in and out. I do like having this table here. Hey, my white's coming back a little bit better now with black and white. Maybe it's starting to finally register. Save this off over here. I do like having this work table right here where I can still work at the lathe when I need to in turn, which we probably will do a little something. And let's go back out just enough. And now that it's got just black and white, it looks like it's automatic white balance did some adjusting for us, which is cool. So maybe you'll be able to see, if I make myself enough room, how this will work out. Okay. There we go. I like the way that's looking. I'm looking over at the delayed feed. Again, I got stuff all over my gloves. I see there in the picture. So there's fingerprints on there. For this particular demonstration, I'm not overly concerned about it. You know, I'll repaint these, return them, who knows. So let's see how we do just misting the top of this in white. If I can keep my brush spraying. Kind of pushed it off the side where you can't see there. So there's obviously a lot to be worked on in the consistencies and the fluid flows. And with a little bit of time and practice, you'll get just exactly what you want. You'll be able to get it where you want it to be. Okay. Now I am going to take and wipe down the side of this. Some of the runs that I don't want there for the next color. So what I love about this, it's super flexible. You can change your mind, you can do anything. I just need to clean this up a little bit down the sides. I just don't want to have the runs in there. Okay. Now right now, see, that's real thin. You can still see the black in the top, but when you're looking at it, you mostly see the reflection of the iridescence, and with a little more control and color in it, that would start to really fill in. I hope you're with me on that. So we're going to go back to, I'm going to leave it right there for now. And I'm kind of looking around to see if everything's all good. Now I want to take this white and I want to mix it with an orange. This is well, it's coral red. I got a red and I got an orange. Well, where's the red? Coral red. I'm going to change it, and I know these are all fresh. These guys are in the store. They work great. You can paint with them straight up too. They're a little bit thick. They're thick enough to paint with a brush, and I'm thinning them down to spray. But these are Nick Agar design created, and they're designed so that you can paint them with a brush and they have enough body. And then if you want to thin it down a little bit so that you can run it through the airbrush, they work great. Now when you start throwing powders in here like I am, it makes it a little more difficult to get it through with a too small a brush or too small an airbrush needle. But that's me. Like I said, we are experimenting and having fun here today. So a drop of the red there. We're going to end up with a pink here, so what's going to happen. Now I'm going to go for some more. Oops. The white is fairly overpowering, or fairly strong in the mix. So we're going to have this next round, this next band is going to have the original satin white along with this second color of orangish red. All right. All right, so that's our plan, and I'm going to turn it. I'll probably just hold it. I'll switch over to that side camera. So let me jump into that camera now, back to the overhead. And again, I'll have to fight just a little bit because of the needle size. And we'll hopefully keep her going. And I'm just going to turn this up on edge. And the dominant color is still the white. of the, we're not seeing that much of the pink coming up. You see a little bit of it, starting to see a little bit of it now. Oh, it lost the contrast. Maybe it'll come back. The auto will bring it back, and maybe not. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little experiment here, and I'm in the overhead for you. I'm going to come in with one of the straight transparent paints. All right. I'm not sure which color I'm going to pick, and I'm going to go over top of this because we've laid down our base, and I wish you could see it in that camera. Let me switch cameras again. So we've laid down our base in here, and it's very, I didn't do anything on the bottom. Okay. So our glitter, our pearl, our shimmer, our essence, if you will, is down low. And I'm going to keep spraying because I've got more coming out. I got more in here. So it's got a little bit of a pink tone to it. And I keep clogging up with that. Now when I get done with this one, I'm going to do one more transparent color on it, and then I'm going to bring out the dry powder with a dry brush. That's kind of the next thing I really want to show you. So let me run a little clear water through here, get this thing cleaned up, because they all can work together. All these, you can wet and dry. You can make so many different effects, just depending on how you blend these things together. All right, and then we just about got that clean through there. All right, so the color I want to choose to go over this, I'm going to choose this green. I'm just going to have a little fun and step out on the green. That's opaque though, so I don't want that one after all. Though I wanted it. The yellow should be transparent. Yes, okay, so let's go with the yellow. I'm going to go with the yellow over top of this. It's going to be interesting to see what we get. And again, it's a little, this is a little thick in its nature, so we're going to reduce that a little bit as well. You notice I'm not putting the cap back on and off of the airbrush, it just because I'm going through this so quick. It doesn't really matter. So I've made that fairly thin. And I'm just going to mix it right here in the cup. Is there anybody out there who's here watching this morning that's working with the iridescent paints on their own? And has anybody been mixing their own, making their own recipes, so to speak? If so, I'd love to see something about it. Pop it in there in the comment column there. I'd love to know what you're up to and what you've done. What kind of success you've had, what things you like, what you don't like. Come on, don't clog up on me. We'll be getting the big number 7 needle real soon here. All right, so I'm going to hold this up here just because I can't stand the way that looks in the other camera. And you can see the fan blowing this away. And I'm getting an interesting effect depending on how much the silver, how much of the silver white is there. This is really pretty cool. Now again, this piece wasn't really sealed. So the end grain is sucking up a ton of it, but you start to see some of what's going on there. And this is, I got this real thin. So if you could see it close, you see the yellow and you see the satin white shimmer underneath. Not in the camera that you're looking at, obviously from that distance. But you start to see an interesting effect going on. There's where the end grain is, it sucked everything up. Okay. And I'm going to make a little bit more of that because I kind of like that look. When this is, again, a transparent yellow that's letting us see our iridescent that we laid down underneath. And where my stick was, there it is. No, seriously, if anybody is playing with the iridescence, I'd love to hear what you're working on, what you do. And they pop it right in the comment columns there. And let me know what you got. We're going to spray one more batch of yellow on here. Then we're going to dry brush. And I'm just going to leave this on the front camera. We'll dry brush some of the powders in and I'll show you how that works. I found it great for making highlights. Kind of blasting that end grain a little bit right there. Again, this wasn't sanded or sealed, any of the things that you would normally do. That's why it still has a tenon on it. Okay, we'll clean that out real quick, and then we're going to go to a dry brush. And then we'll probably we'll get the cloud paint out. We haven't played with the cloud paint yet. Let me run some water through here. Yes, Maria, the clogging of the airbrush, depending on what size needle you have, and so my problem today, if you weren't here when I was talking about it, is the needle I'm running is actually too small. This is a number 3. And when I'm trying to run the powder through it, I need a number 7. Now, same thing, if you're just running your paints, you may need to reduce the paints with whatever the appropriate reducer would be for your paint, because the orifice is so small, and you have to make sure you keep them clean. I'm the king of not keeping my airbrushes clean on the road. I have to take them apart the day before the shows start because I'm always in a hurry to get out the door. This morning, you guys wouldn't believe it, I didn't even tell you this story. I had this completely disassembled. This was part of that fiasco of lacquer coming out. So I had it completely disassembled up here on the whiteboards. And there's a little teeny the innermost, I'm not sure what the name of the part is, the innermost part that slides where the nozzle comes out, that really is probably called the air cap or the air horn, something like that. It's teeny. It's like the size of a big headed pin, a sewing pin at best. And I thought I had dropped it down on the floor underneath here, and there's chips on the floor, and it's a mess. And I went through all the other brushes, and all the other brushes I have a number 2 needle in them, so they're even smaller. And I thought, how am I going to do this? It's time to go. It was actually a little bit after, and I happened to look over. I still had that part and one other part in a little cup of lacquer, and was able to save my day, so to speak, and get that going. So let's go back to this guy. Should be dry now, and it's got gold, it's got green. I'm going to walk over here, and maybe you'll be able to see the colors since I'm having so much color trouble with the other camera. I'm just going to kind of rotate that around And there's not much light over here on it. That's one of the problems. See if I can get it out here in this light. No. So you can see the iridescence in it. And we haven't used but just a fraction of powders and paints, okay? And now this guy is dry. I'm going to make the assumption it doesn't move anymore. And we're going to set this guy over here and let him hang out. And boy, do I have a mess. So this was the only brush I had. Like I said, I'm going to the Dollar Tree today and get some really cheap and some small ones. Makeup brushes. And I'm going to take, let's see, I'm looking over here. What camera am I on? Oh, okay, I'm not getting in your head. We're going to take a purple. All right, I'm just having fun. I'm playing with the different colors. That looks great against my jacket in the screen that I'm seeing it in. Going to take a purple, and again, I've got a fan going here to keep a breeze on me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of this out into a container so that I don't risk spilling the whole thing. And I'm going to load my brush. And you can't even see it, right? But, and again, the overhead camera is just out to lunch today, so we're not going to worry about it. So come in with my dry brush. And it just adds a very, very subtle highlight to it. And I'm not loading much. I'm going to work my way all the way around. And I think you can see that purple starting to show up in the camera. And I'll keep coming around down the sides. It's tough because it works well if the piece is sticky. If you sprayed a coat of, let's say you had a coat of lacquer on it and it was tack dry. Now this will go down into any of the pores really well. So you can dry brush on, and they're very, very light. And it makes for, it's basically, obviously I don't know anything about doing makeup. But if you're a makeup artist, you could make some amazing pieces. Because it gives this whole thing, we don't lose the other colors. And it's not one solid color. So I think you can start to see that purple. It's very subtle. In person, it's like a big neon sign saying, "Hey, there's purple on here," without being obnoxious. So remember, our base color was black, but the black is starting to disappear as all our iridescent colors begin to grow. And we're building layers. And to me, building the layers is one of the best ways to get the most interest in a piece. Because if you just do one straight color, then it's that color. If you add multiple colors, and I've always been a fan of it, if you add multiple colors, and especially if they blend together, and sometimes it's just luck of the draw, but if they blend together and make a very subtle, just a little subtle shade or hue that's really hard, your brain is trying to figure out what that other color is, and it can't quite identify it. And that's one of the things that makes a piece really attractive. You look at it and you go, what's that other color? Because your brain wants to solve the riddle. And it makes us be interested. So if you're doing art like this, and you want people to be interested in it, working with multiple layers of colors will sometimes give you these extra colors that are a little hard to define, and people will go, that's so interesting and unique because I can't quite put my finger on it. And if you're trying to sell your work at art and craft shows, trust me, if you can get people to stop and think about it and wonder, and if it's within their budget at all, it's going to really pique their interest and their appetite, and they're probably going to pick it up from you and take it home. So, I mean, when I started doing colors, just doing straight color, I did red, blue, and yellow 10 years ago. And I went from doing everything in brown to colors, and I couldn't make it fast enough, and that's how I got started in my colors. Okay, so the dry brush in there, because I'm looking at the clock, and it's 10:40. So I want to do some of the cloud paint, okay? If anybody has any questions about anything I've done so far, please pop it into the comment column, all right? And I'll come back to it. I'll stop what I'm doing with the cloud paint, and we'll do that. I'm going to change gloves. I'm going to put on a fresh set of gloves because these are just kind of messy. And I'm looking at the replay, so I love the way that color's looking on the little holoform for just kind of goofing around with it. That's pretty neat. Now I'm looking at I'm looking at the 20-second delay. Get out of there. I know it's novel, guys, for me to actually be using gloves. But hey, you got to do it sometimes. And even this piece, I'm gonna rotate that and see what that looks like when I do that. Because what I see in here in the light and natural, and what you see out on the other end of the spectrum, going through the cameras and through everything, and I'm looking at it on a big TV monitor over here on the Facebook feed. So I'm not sure just exactly how it looks for you guys. I hate wearing gloves. That's probably why I don't ever hardly wear them, you know? I guess I could put talcum powder on my hands in between everything. But again, if there's questions, y'all holler at me. I would love to know what you're thinking. Let's see if I can't blow this one up. Or then it just makes it wetter and stickier in there. So tell me what you think of the new wall and the window out there to the pecan farm. I worked hard on that the other night. Hope it adds a little interest. I was trying to get, like I say, the key to key better. I'm not seeing any horrible green artifacts. I'm getting a much cleaner key. You know, I actually go on, I study. I actually have some classes that I've paid for to figure this kind of stuff out. And that's how I learn. Now if I could just learn how to put gloves on. All right. Well, I'm going to step over here and blow this one up while I'm out of the way. Picking up this other piece for the cloud paint. So this is a piece of aspen that was bright red, and it was $90. It's still got a sticker on the bottom of it. It says 90 bucks. Unfortunately, it was in the box of hundreds of others, and it's got a big old crack right here. So it's in the project bin for just do whatever with it. It's a natural edge aspen piece. If you ever want to do color work, aspen is fantastic because it's so white. It's like a white canvas. And although we're working with black backgrounds today, Donald told me to open the window. Why do I want to open a window? Oh, open the window. Yeah, I can't quite do that. I can't quite do that. That's above my pay grade right now. But I would love to open the window. I just hope you guys like the look of what we're doing here. I say there's lots of fun things coming. Okay, enough of that. The only way I know that I'm gonna do this is in that horrible thing. Let's see if we can get this color to change to where the camera is a little bit better. Make a hole here. Another thing, if you want to practice, again, I'm standing in the black. These little strips, molding strips, you go to the box store in the trim department, and there's little thin strips and they got texture on them. Same thing, I'm gonna do that real quick with the dry brush. You can use the creams and all, but we're not talking creams today. So since I didn't do it and I had these out, I'm gonna do it real quick. If I run late, well, hey, I start late sometimes, so what's wrong with running late? All right, I'm gonna put this guy off to the side for a second, put him over here. And maybe that'll key in. Do-do-do-do. Let's see if I can pull way down in on this. There, once you do that, the auto works. And the same thing with the paints. I'll do dry on part of this, just dry on this end. So this is just putting on the pearl powder. Thank you, Mary Alice. I know you're a iridescent fan. Have you ever done a dry brush like this on something that's textured? It's a pretty interesting way to add, and you still have, say, the black underneath there. So it's super easy to do. Just dry brush your pearl powders on. All right. One thing I haven't tried, and I'm gonna get another jar. Good thing I got lots of jars. I'm gonna take one of the. That was a straight purple pearl. And let me see if I have a purple iridescent. I was certain that I did. I have iridescent blue, copper, green, gold, silver, iridescent green. So this is a white. This is the iridescent greens are white. We're gonna do a little test here. Yeah, the dry brushing is fantastic because it's very subtle, as long as you want it to be, or can be. So this is green, iridescent green, iridescent pearlescent. Again, think of those little platelets of mica with all these different thin films. Now let's see if this comes up green on here. So that's a white powder and bouncing off the black. Voila, we get a really cool iridescent green. And if we really want to brush it down in there and then brush off the top, all with just a powder. Very simple way to highlight your effects or your textures. I was going to bring the texturing tools out and do a little texturing, but then I knew I was going to run out of time. Okay, and then if you put a finish over that, let's say you put a clear on it, like I'm fixing to, just because I want to see and show you. Be curious to see what it does. So while I'm getting sidetracked, if I'm going to get sidetracked, I might as well sidetrack all the way, right? We're going to just put a little bit of gloss lacquer on here. Right on the well, I'm going to hold it off to the side. Well, I want you to see it. I want you to see it happen. I'm trying not to mess up that piece of cardboard for the moment. So let's do this. Let's put it on there. And do that. I'm a big lacquer fan, if you didn't know that. I just love lacquer. Is still my favorite finish. It's the most repairable finish. If I want a high gloss something, I may lacquer that black ball there too. Because done right, done properly with a little practice, you can make lacquer really make things pop. Okay, let's jump into this. And if the fan doesn't blow it away, see what happens here. It may wash it in until it dries. Okay, so it washed it in a little bit. So you might want to experiment with a different finish if you don't like the way this comes out when it's dry, because it took some of the shimmer away, which surprises me a little bit, to be quite honest. It flattened it out, so you never know exactly what you're going to get. Okay. One of the and I brought the pieces out in the house. One of the things that I've done, we'll see what happens to this when it dries. I'm going to move it out of the way. One of the things I've done is with this cloud paint that we're about to use, I had a piece that had a bunch of dye on it. Let's say it was like this piece, lots of different colors on it. And then this was when I was first helping Chromacraft develop their cloud paint. And I did the cloud paint. I painted the whole thing. I painted black completely over top, black lacquer, over top of the dye, the aniline dye, alcohol-based aniline dye. Then I put on the cloud paint. And I did a cloud paint thing. And sometimes if you've seen it, it's blue. It's almost just straight one color blue. And when that dried, I then put a ton of lacquer over and over and over on top of the cloud paint. Okay, Donald, thank you for coming by. I know you got to run, I see. Appreciate you coming by anytime. It's always nice to have you here. And I love your running commentaries out there on social media. I'm going to say that I'm right there with you, even if I don't do it in print. Blasting this with lacquer was really cool, because what it did is it brought the dyes up into through the lacquer, through the black lacquer, and up into the cloud paint. Okay, so it brought it up through the cloud paint, and I got an interesting effect because I started to get the dyes permeating up from underneath, which is it's not a controllable effect. You couldn't control it. I had nothing to do with how it did what it did at what level. But it was really neat. And I see now that this other bowl has decided to focus in nice colors. I just want to show you that shot right there. No, that's the wrong camera, Brad. You can see you can kind of see some of the colors since it's nice and white on here right now. All right, don't pay no attention to those runs. And you can see the shimmer and the black in there, just that's the overspray. A million things that you can do with the iridescents. They're really fun. If you study the science a little bit behind them and make some notes to refer to seriously, you can do a lot of wild things. Okay. A little bit of cloud paint here real quick. And I'm going to back this out. And it will probably lose some of our registration. So we'll leave the price tag on it. We don't care. Of course, if you want to buy it, I'll sell it to you. I'll glue the crack up. All right, cloud paint. I do think I have some over here without pulling out fresh. Let me double check. I may not. I don't. So I'll pull out some fresh cloud paint. There's 7 colors of cloud paint. Green, red, violet, blue. See if I get all these in the right order. I know there's a turquoise. I'm not out. There's the turquoise. White. All right. And the cloud paints are white when we see them. And then when we spread them out, so we're going to put drops on. There's a lot of different things you can do with cloud paints. And again, they are intended to have some of the white as a as a product of it, okay? That's part of the plan with the cloud paints. You can do a lot of things. You can spin these, you can do all kinds of crazy things. So I'm shaking these up real good, and I'm going to put them over here in a row. So they don't lose track of what I've done, because they all look the same when they're all the same color. They're white there. All right, just a few more to go. Same thing I learned with resin tints. Always shake your product. The powders not so much, but definitely the liquids. Give them a shake, and then we're going to chase this with the airbrush. That's one method. If I can find a piece of plastic in here, another thing you can do is put the dots on, or put the cloud paint on, and put cellophane over top, and use cellophane to just spread it around. Okay. Lots of different things that you can do. I have tried spraying the cloud paint, and I was going to do that today, and I might still before the day's over. I feel like running a little bit long. Make sure these don't have seals on them. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go around, and this first one is going to be a spot of red, and you'll see it goes on, and it's going to run down the side a little bit, and I don't care. You see it goes on white. Next one is green, or turquoise, excuse me, and it won't show the color until it gets thin enough on the black. Here's the white. The white will be white, and I may do 2 batches of color on here, and we will blend these around, chasing with the airbrush. That one looks a little thin still. Give it another quick shake. A little more pigment in there now. That one needs probably even more shaking. These have been sitting for a while. Give them a quick shake. I'm loving the little hollow form out here. The colors that are in that, I know you can't quite see it. I put it up there. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. I don't know how it looks against the gray, but I'm happy with that concept. It's really cool. That ran way on down the side there. You can't see what's going on there. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Sometimes I get too busy talking, forget to change the cameras. So that one needs a little more shaking, which was this guy, and that is the blue. Its pigments must be sitting down at the bottom. That's a little better. Not that I'm worried about it at all. And then I'm just going to go back around with all the colors. And this works well on platter tops. This is just the one thing that I have that's really smooth. Platters where then you turn it away, like that one that I sprayed over there, which I may not get to, or I may run long and do something with it just for fun. Cloud paint, the cosmic cloud paint, like I say, it does a lot of different things. You can do some pretty interesting things if you get outside the box with it. Okay, airbrush. We just want air on our brush. You can do it with your regular air compressor. You can see the colors starting just to show up on their own accord without doing anything else to it as they start to get thin. So it's all up to you what you do with it, how you chase it around, how much you leave white. how much you make color. Ah! Too much stuff around. You can let them overlap. It's really fun stuff. Turn that around where I can get to it a little bit better over here, where you can see it. So if I decide I want more, you know, if it ran down here and I want more up in my pattern, whatever my pattern may turn out to be. Okay. Nothing says you have to do just drops either. So let's say I like the green the most, and it's going to do different things when it goes over top of these other colors. I've always been one to kind of just step out, so I'm going to take this green and I'm just going to kind of put some swirls around in here. Okay, in linear lines, and I'm going to do the same thing with, that was the turquoise, excuse me. I'm going to do the same thing with the green, which is different than the turquoise. And I'm going to do some squiggles. Experimenting is how you figure things out. I don't think I'm going to do the white. I'll do a little red over top of everything. And you get an interesting blend of colors. Okay. And then we go chasing and we would go. Because I want to fill back up to the base there. You see where it's really thick? The white makes it kind of hides the colors. And that white, I'm just not a fan of that white, I don't think. I'm going to turn up my air on my airbrush. It's drying pretty fast on me too because I got this fan going in here. So as you can see, like where it's thinner, you get distinct colors, very distinct iridescent colors. And you could do this without using the cloud paint per se, by using just what we were doing earlier and mixing your own pearls. Okay. Now here's the other thing we're going to do. See if I don't have any cellophane, which would be optimum, but I'm going to take a piece of plastic here real quick, and it's not stretchy plastic. It's just a piece of plastic. You would put cellophane all over it. completely different look, especially if you hadn't done the initial. If I hadn't done initial splotches, so you get a completely different look. I think cellophane works a little bit better, because mostly I'm seeing white out here on the sides. Okay, maybe just I picked up the white is all. But you can play with it in a lot of different ways. Now the other thing, because I'm watching the clock ticking, it's a little after noon there, was we were going to do something to that rim platter. So let me set this over here out of the way. We were going to take this guy and let's dry brush this guy real quick. I think that's what I want to do to it. And I can't remember what color I had in here. I bet it's green. And so I'm going to go with iridescent green again. I hope everybody's picked up a couple of tips this morning anyway. I know I'm having fun. Again, it's always all about experimenting, trying new things. See what works for you, what comes out interesting. So you like the plastic, Mary Alice? I've done it, that didn't work as well as I've done it in the past. I've used cellophane and gotten a much better effect. I really like this dry brushing of a pearl powder, or at least the effect it gives, especially if there's some texture in something. So in this case, I'm going, with the swirls, the natural swirls of the turning of the piece. All right. Now what I'm going to do, just for yucks, and the brush is just about empty. And I don't know if I would cut a clean line in here. It might be interesting to do. It would be to cut a clean line, turn a little bit of this away, and say maybe make that jet black, which we could do, and then leave the center. Are you with me on that one? So to give you an idea, there's what we get with just a dry brush. So there's no drying to it. There's no liquid. There's no spraying. You just brush it on, all right, and it gets down into the pattern, into the groove, so to speak. And I didn't change the camera dummy. That's my producer's job. So there you go. You can see now how cool it is. I like that, and I think putting a black border, right along here to set off the difference between the green and the crazy colors inside. Maybe another black border. There's almost enough wood out here on the very edge. You could use chroma gilt out here. Mary Alice is asking if anything's on sale today. No, nothing's on sale today, Mary Alice. I don't think there's anything left over, any coupons left over that are running. Wish sure was, but drop in there. I'll tell you what, because you're a faithful follower and I appreciate it, you drop in there and you place your order and I'll put a little something extra in your stocking for you. How's that? It'll be a little surprise. I'm certain that you'll like whatever it is I drop in your stocking. All right. So how's that? Does that work for you? Let's see. Was I going to do anything else? There's a million things I could do. I could spend all day out here. but I know we all have things to do. So, questions. Fire any questions at me. Again, I didn't do as many things maybe as I wanted to, but I never do get to do as many things as I wanted to. I'm going to show you this overhead again of this because I just like this look. I like that, and when you clean that up, I mean, a personal style of mine is to do that really random, I hate to say Jackson Pollock because that'd be stealing the man's name, kind of dye work inside there. It's just something I've always liked doing. So, you know, experiment, have fun. You know, if I go to the end camera over here, just looking at the different colors that are going on, the things that you get to see, that one won't quite come into the frame. So I put it up there. Not enough light on it, that's better out front. Good fun things. Again, I'm gonna put this, I like this piece all of a sudden, if I can figure out which way to go with it. All right, and I got a little powder spilled in the middle there. I'll go back to the overhead. Did that trim piece dry yet? Yes, it did. And it did, let's go overhead. Well, there it is. So it's still pretty. It's not, it has a different look because of the sheen than it did before. So one thing that might work well, and since we're here and we're playing and we're having fun, one of the other finishes I like is the WRU20 water-based urethane, and it doesn't put any, it puts a protective coat on, and I don't know how stuck this is yet. That's the one thing about trying to, and I could spray this, but I'm not going to. It doesn't put any sheen to it, so it leaves it looking in its natural fashion, and I bet you this one is still got the red cap in it. Let's see if I can find another one over here real quick. That's wood dye. I hate to open up another one if I've got one floating around somewhere. I can never always find whatever it is I'm hunting. I'm afraid if I brush this on right now, I'm going to put this in the airbrush. I'm going to pop this open, and I'm going to spray this on in the airbrush. I'm going to put it on real light. Because you don't want to disturb. This is what I put on the Rustina work, and you can never tell that it's been sealed. I don't need straight air all the time. Let me make sure this is clean. So the WRU20 is a water-based urethane. It is white looking, but it does dry clear. So let's see how this works. I'm on that. Let me go to the overhead real quick. Or I'm going to come in over here. So I'm just putting a very light coat on. And this will lock that powder down. And that's the beauty of using an airbrush over a rattle can. So you can put it on very light and not blow away. The powder. Now I do need to open the room. Although this is water-based. Again, this piece of wood wasn't really sealed, so the water's making a few things open up a little bit. When that dries, it will be back to dull. Back to a real dull matte finish. All right. I'm real happy with it. I've been super satisfied with it, that it works well. I'm just going to take a chance on this one right here. And I'm going to spray this from afar just to put a little sealer on it. Just to clean the gun out. There we go. And that's got a little something on it to hold the powder down. All right, and let me throw some water in here while I'm saying goodbye and run it through. It's just water going off to the back. Okay, gang, it is afternoon. It's about 12:15. I've had a wonderful time here on Monday Methods, even though my hair's messed up today. Stop and close your mouth, Brad, because you're trying to think. Again, if you had any questions about anything, if I didn't cover it and you didn't ask in the comment column, shoot me an email. info@Spiracraft. We'll get you there. I live by email. I'd be happy to. If you got more detailed questions, give us a call. The 800 number is on top, or 855, but the toll-free number is on top of the website, which is spiracraft.com. Lots of new things coming. We're working hard on the new website. It's taken longer than expected, but we are working on it day and night, and it's going to be pretty cool when it comes up and running. This coming Saturday is Saturday Special. I do not have a choice yet for what products we're going to be featuring. Last week was resin and stabilizing product. Not sure what it's going to be this weekend coming up. It'll be something fun. It'll be Saturday. I am looking for opinions. I've been doing it 1 to 3, and I'm curious about maybe shifting it from 3 to 6. That's the Eastern time. If anybody wants to send me a note here, privately, private message, email, just on the Spiracraft page, if you think that you might show up, I prefer showing up at a 3 to 6 Eastern instead of a 1 to 3, something like that, or excuse me, 3 to 6, 3 to 5, or 4 to 6, later in the afternoon. I'm taking input there on that, so let me know. I'll have it posted up by midweek, mid-late week, probably Wednesday, Thursday, what we're going to be doing. Again, I just love this piece. I'm gonna say goodbye, and I thank everybody for coming today. And I'm gonna go to the overhead piece as I sign off, because I just think that thing looks cool, especially with the hollow form in the middle. Okay, everybody have a great week. Stay safe. Take care, and we will see you on Saturday, and if not, we will see you next Monday on Monday Methods. Have a wonderful week, and I appreciate you coming.